welcome to students. Today we will be looking into this concept of transitivity. Now, what is transitivity? If we try to look into that, among all the properties which gives us chaos, transitivity turns out to be the strongest property. So, many times many other definitions of chaos are implied by this particular property, and this is a global property for the system. So, as a motivation for transitivity, let us now see what we are trying to look into. So, for us right now, we have this as a metric space, our X D is a metric space. And this pair X F is a dynamical system. Now, let us try to recall something which we have already studied, and so we recall this concept of minimality. Now, what is minimality? As you all seen, what does that mean? That whenever I have an x in x, so I take for every x in x, right, and for every non-empty open V subset of x, I have this hitting time set n x V, right, to be non-empty. Minimality basically means that every point has a dense orbit, right. Since every point has a dense orbit, that means the orbit of x, right, hits every non-empty open set V. So, we get n x V to be non-empty. Now, we want to actually sort of look into a little bit generalization or abstraction of this concept. So, if we try to generalize this concept, or maybe I am trying to approximate this concept, supposing now we are not looking into our point x, but instead of looking into a point x, we want to look into say some neighborhood of x. So, we are saying that we have blurred the point x, and the blurring of the point x is coming out to be the neighborhood say u of x. Now, what happens when we are looking into the neighborhood u of x? We again want that the neighborhood, the orbit of the neighborhood tries to hit every open set, or maybe the orbit of the neighborhood is dense. So, if we try to blur this out, right. So, I am just trying to blur it up. We can say that for every non-empty open u and v, so I have two pairs of open sets now, u and v. For every non-empty open u and v subset of x, I want n u v, the hitting time set, which basically turns out to be the set of all n in n, such that f n u intersection v is non-empty. I want this particular hitting set to be non-empty. So, we are just trying to sort of blur out the concept of minimality, right. We are just trying to approximate the concept of minimality, and the approximation of this concept of minimality results into this particular property, that we have the hitting time set n u v to be non-empty, and this is something which we call topological transitivity. So, this concept is what is called topological . So, let us try to take the formal definition here. So, if for every pair of non-empty open say subsets u and v of x, if there exists an n in n such that f n u intersection v is non-empty, then we say that the system XF is topologically transitive. Now, as you would have guessed it, right, that this property turns out to be a global property. Like you cannot say that okay, it happens at this particular region of X or it happens at that particular region of X. This is a global property. And if I try to see that, I am having some open set U here, right, I have another open set V here. This says that there is an n for which Fn of u intersects V. That means that u has some particular point x, right, for which Fn of x is in V, right. Now, I could very well think of my pair of open sets to be u and w, where my w is somewhere not near V at all, it is w here, right. Then that would guarantee that for this pair u and w, I should have some m for which Fm of u intersects w is non-empty. That means I should have some point y here, right, for which Fm of y should be here, right, and I could think of the pair u with itself, right. Once we think of the pair u with itself, then I can say that there should be some k such that Fk of u intersection u is non-empty. That means that I should have some point z here, right, such that for which my Fk of z is also there in u. So, if I try to look into this particular property, right, this particular property, and this happens for every open uv, right, every pair of open sets uv in this space. So, this property gives some kind of indecomposability of the system. I cannot divide the system into two parts, right, such that one part is not interacting with the other part, right. This property says that every part of X interacts with every other part of X. In fact, from every part of X there is a point, right, whose orbit is going to some other part to every other part of X. It need not be now, it's quite possible that the point that visits uv need not be the same as the point that visits w, right, it could be distinct, but it says that yes, every part interacts with every other part. So, this is our concept of topological transitive, and this has been studied in various names. In fact, this was first studied by Birkhoff. I think we all know who Birkhoff is, right. We have all studied how he was the student of Poincaré, right. Basically, he followed Poincaré and he has done a lot of work in the initiated the work of discrete dynamical system. So, this was first studied by Birkhoff in say 1920, and this property has lot of other names also. So, there are other words also which describe the same thing. So, many people use the word recurrent transitive for it. So, this is called recurrent transitive, and you will know why we call it recurrent transitive soon. So, this is also called regional transitive. There is a concept of ergodicity as seen in terms of measure theory, and many call it topologically ergodic. It is very rare, but in past people did use this word nomadic for this purpose, which describes the nomadic nature of orbits here. So, this concept is also called nomadic. Now, we are interested in looking into this global aspects of this property, and we will start with looking into some examples. So, let us try to look into some examples here. Now, the first example that I can think of, we are not going to describe new examples here, but let us try to look into some examples that we already have seen earlier. So, we look into this example of tent map. That means, I am looking into the map T from 01 to 01, right, described as T x equal to twice x for 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to half, and it is twice 1 minus x for half less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1. Now, we have studied this particular map, and after studying this particular map, we have seen this concept that there exists an n, right. So, I start with any open set U. Of course, I want it non-empty. So, let me say that this is non-empty. Right. We have seen that what happens is that this U expands, right, under the action of f, under the action of t, it expands such that T n of u contains both, right. So, T n of u contains both, it contains 0 and it contains 1, right. We have already seen this in terms of periodic points, but this is the concept that we are looking into. So, for given any non-empty open U, right, there exists an n. So, I should say that there exists an n in n, right, such that T n of u contains both the points 0 and 1. Now, since it contains both the points 0 and 1, right, I can say that it would basically be containing the entire stuff here, right. And so, for any non-empty open V subset of 0 1, right, we have T n u intersection V is non-empty. So, that means the tent map is open. Now, there is another example which again we have seen that part, but I would like to look into this topology of this once again. So, the second example that we have studied is the example of the shift space. Right. So, I should say the shift system. What is our shift system? Let me describe it again. So, this is our bigger sigma which happen to be 0 1 to the power z, right, with the product topology, and we know that we have a metric over here, right, which says that basically we says that two things are very close by, right, if the middle portion, right, if the sequences they coincide. So, typical sequence here is of the form and we studied a map over here, right. Our shift was basically this map, right, which is the right shift, which can be defined as sigma x of I is basically x I plus 1. Now, we have seen that in this product topology, we say that, so that two neighborhoods are close by, right, or basically I can say that 2 points are close by, right, if they agree on the middle part. Now, what are the basic open sets or what are the open sets here in this shift? So, since this is product topology, we can think of basic open sets here. So, I can say that a typical basic open set so, I am writing this in terms of course, I am expressing this as a cylinder. All sequences right. I can think of all sequences yi, I belongs to z such that so basically in this portion yi is same as xi, so it takes the same value as this xi, right. Otherwise I am looking into all those sequences which satisfy this property. So this is a typical basic open set here, and we call this as a cylinder. So these are basically called cylinder sets. Our property of transitivity says that you take any two pair of non-empty open sets, there should be an n large enough such that one intersects such that and some n such that after some time, or basically the nth image of the first open set intersects the second open set. So as well this could be true for a basic open set also. So we say that here, look into this shift system. Supposing now I am fixing this up, right. So what is this set? That means now what is the restriction on yi? So if I am looking into this set, the restriction on yi is that only in this portion it should be same as xi, right. In the rest it can be anything, right. So if I want to see what happens to the left of it, what happens to the right of it, it could be anything, right. The sequences could be anything, right, but only in the middle portion it should be same as this part. So let me say take two cylinder sets. So for cylinder sets, I am naming the cylinder sets. So I am naming the cylinder sets x minus k up to xk and z minus t up to zt, right. I am naming this cylinder sets. So what happens for these two cylinder sets? Now I know that this zt, z minus t, zt need not overlap with this at all. Even if it overlaps, right, we do not care about it, just does not overlap with it at all, let us assume that part. Then what happens here is, I am looking into a typical sequence which belongs to this cylinder set, right. Then what happens is, after certain times, right, it could assume any value. So it could also assume the value z minus t, zt somewhere. So for some say n greater than k, because I am shifting this midpoint, right. So for some n greater than k, I could have that this particular thing, there is a sequence here, right, whose middle portion is this part, but after n instance, right, if I look into the nth image of it, then its middle portion would be same as this part, and that n could be not later than k, but I want it greater than k plus t, right. So for some n greater than k plus t, because if I am considering them to be non-overlapping, right, then for some n greater than k plus t, right, I could have that there is a sequence, right, which agrees on this in the middle part, but after n instances it agrees with this particular thing on the middle part. So there exists an n in n such that sigma to the power n of the cylinder set minus kk, right, intersection is non-empty, right. And so this system is also topologically transitive. I would like to give one more example here, which turns out to be a very simple example. Supposing I take my x to be just these points x10, right, and my map is such that f of xi, so I am defining this map from x to x as f of xi is equal to xi plus 1. It will be true for everything other than I equal to 10. So we define that f of x10 is x1. Now think of this is just a periodic orbit. If I look into the system xf, it is just a periodic orbit, since this is a finite set, right, I can think of this to have the discrete metric, right. So, every singleton is open here. Can I say that for every xi and every xj, right, there exists an n in n such that now I am looking into this part, Fi of this singleton xi intersection this singleton xj, right, is non-empty. So, that means this is also a topologically transitive system. So, any periodic orbit, you just have an orbit, right, that turns out to be topologically transitive. After looking into this example, and especially this example gives us a motivation, what is this example doing, right? My x1 is moving to x2, my x2 is moving to x3, moving to x10, back to x1 and so on. So, it is just moving in some kind of an orbit, right, it is just moving in an orbit. Now, I could have something moving in an orbit, right, even for an infinite set, need not be a finite set. So, that gives some kind of a motivation, right. What happens if there exists an x? So, what happens some x naught in x, right, such that orbit of x naught, I am looking into its closure, happens to be whole of x. What happens in that particular case? So, my orbit of x naught is same as x. That means what I am looking into the fact here is that for every x naught in, so there exists, sorry, not for every, there exists an x naught in x such that for every non-empty open V contained in x, right. So, there is some x naught in x such that for every non-empty open V in x, right, there exists an n in n, right, such that Fn of x naught belongs to V, right, or I can replace this statement by saying that n of x V, this hitting time set, is non-empty. So, sorry, x naught V is non-empty. So, that means that this is another aspect. Now, if such a thing happens, right, we call the system to be point transitive. So, such a system is called point transitive. Now, we would like to see what happens, is there any relation between point transitive and topological transitive. So, let us try to look into that aspect here. So, I have point transitive on one hand, and on the other hand I have topologically transitive. Is there any relation between the two? So, let me take an example here. Say I look into this particular example. So, I think we have perhaps seen this example earlier also. So, my x happens to be the set of all 1 upon n such that n belongs to n, right, union 0, and I define my f from x to x, right, such that what is f of 1 upon n is nothing but 1 upon n plus 1 and f of 0 is 0. So, typically I look into this particular example, right. Then what we find here is that the orbit of 1, right, if I take its closure is whole of x. So, that means this particular example is point transitive. Now, is it topologically transitive? So, we find that there exists no n this system xf is point transitive, but it fails to be topologically transitive. On the other hand, let me take another example here. So, other example here I can take of to be, say again I am going back to my tent map, right. Let us go back to the tent map and consider the tent map. Now, I am taking the restriction of this tent map, because I know that tent map on T has a dense set, it has lot of periodic points, right, it has periodic points of all periods. So, let us take T restricted to, so I am taking this T restricted to the periodic points of T. Now, let us look into this particular system. Now, we know that, right, we know that in tent map, right, given any open set U, right, you start with some periodic point at one stage, right, you will be able to get a periodic point which reaches any other neighborhood. So, this system is topologically transitive, I am restricting it to the periodic points, I am not looking into the other points, just take care of all the periodic points. So, supposing T is defined on only the periodic points here, then my system is, this is topologically transitive, right, but does it have a dense orbit? Is there any point which has a dense orbit? No. All orbits here are finite, right, and none of them will be the whole of Pt, because we know that this happens to be an infinite set, right. So, none of them, this closure can be whole of Pt, right. So, we find that this is not topologically, so there exists no x naught in Pt, that is the periodic points of T, such that orbit of x naught closure is whole of Pt. So, that means that these two concepts, though we say that of course, we are calling them transitive, right, they are distinct concepts. There are systems which are point transitive, but they are not topologically transitive. There are systems which are topologically transitive, but not point transitive. So, let us try to see, can there be any relation here. So, let us try to now look into more examples of point transitive system. We have not looked into the examples of point transitive system. So, let us go back to these examples once again, or maybe I will push up another example here. So, let us look back to examples once again. Let me call this example 4. Right. Let me take my x to be S1, right, or unit circle, and my tau alpha, right, to be the irrational rotation. Now, we know the system is minimal, right. Minimal means there for every x the orbit of x is dense. So, that means there is at least we have one x, right. So, this system is point transitive, right. So, this is point transitive. What are the other examples that you can think of? So, Let me go back to example 5, which is same as the example 2, that is we have seen. That was our shift space, right. So, we are going to this example once again, and we have already seen that in this particular example, right, there exists a point x naught, right, which happens to be, what did we start with, right? We have already seen that we have a point x naught here such that if I look into the orbit of x naught closure, right, this the whole of sigma, because every block occurs here at some particular point, right, and so this has a dense orbit. So, this shift space again happens to be point transitive. And again if I look into my sixth example, which is same as example 3 we considered. So, our example 3 was a set of 10 points, right, which is basically just a periodic orbit, and now we know that just a periodic orbit is a minimal set. Just take a periodic orbit, it happens to be a minimal set, right. So, this is also what I know is that I take any xi belonging to x, right, then we can say that the orbit of xi, right, in fact the orbit itself is the whole of x, right. The orbit is whole of x, so the orbit closure is also whole of x, right. So, this is again system of point transitive. So, we do have examples where we have this concept of topologically transitive, right, coinciding with point transitive. So, is there any general rule which says that the two concepts can be equal, or are there any circumstances, are there any conditions under which the two concepts can be considered to be equivalent? And for this we have the theorem. So, let us look into this theorem now. And this theorem is due to Silverman, proved in 1992. So, what does this theorem say? So, this says that if x has no isolated points, then point transitive implies topologically transitive. On the other hand, if x is separable and second category, then topologically transitive implies point transitive. Why is this theorem important? Because in many cases, right, it is just enough for us to look into some particular point which goes from one region, whose orbit goes from one region to the other region, right. So, that is enough for us many times. But why is it important to look into point because point transitivity would also say that, okay, fine, what happens is if your point whose orbit is dense happens to be isolated, right, then you can never come back to itself. So, you do not get this concept of coming back to itself, or this concept of recurrence which comes up, which is usually seen in topologically transitive. So, that is not seen over here. Whereas what happens in the other cases, many times it is enough for us to identify a point whose orbit is dense. Once you identify a point whose orbit is dense, it is enough. So, for the concept of proving theorems in topologically transitive or anything that leads to transitivity, it is enough, it becomes very helpful for us to look into the concepts and if these two concepts are equivalent. So, this is basically what we have as theorem, and let us now look into the proof of this part. So, the proof here for the first case happens to be very simple, right. So, now my x has no isolated point. What does that mean? So, x has no isolated point. That means that all points of x are limit points. Okay. So, x is a perfect space, right. Let me say this, since the system is point transitive, let me say that let x n be say f to the power n of x naught, right, and this sequence x n, right, be a dense orbit So, my system is point transitive and also I know that my x is a perfect space. So, I am starting with a dense orbit in x, but then since the orbit is dense, right, given any open non-empty open. So, given any subsets u and v of x, we have some say x n f n of x naught, which is basically my x n, right, belonging to u, because this is a dense orbit, x n is a dense orbit, right. So, this is a dense set. So, in u there will be some x n and some f m of x naught, which is my x m belonging to v. Now, I am not taking just v, I am taking v minus the set x naught, x 1. So, that means that whenever I take open sets u and v, right, since this is a dense orbit, there is some n for which f n x n belongs to u and there is some m for which x m belongs to v minus these 2 points. So, one thing is sure, right, we can say that our m has to be greater than n. Now, m is greater than n, so I can define my k to be equal to m minus n. Then what do we know here is f k of u intersection v is non-empty. So, given any two non-empty open sets u and v, right, I do get a k in n such that f k of u intersection v is non-empty. So, the system happens to be topologically transitive. Let us now look into converse part. Now, my system is topologically transitive and I just suppose that f has no dense orbit. Now, my system is separable, so it should have a countable basis. So, let my V n, where n goes from, say I am talking of 0 to infinity, right, is a countable basis my f has no dense orbit, right. So, for each x in x, so I am starting with an x in x, I know that the orbit of x is not dense, right. Since the orbit of x is not dense, there is some basis where which does not contain any points in the orbit of x, right. So, there exists some V n x, right. There exists some, now I am indexing this by x, there exists some V n x such that the orbit of x intersection V n x is an empty set, right. The orbit does not come up to V n x at all, right. There is no point of the orbit of x which comes up to V n x, or which, or there is no f k of x, right, which is lying in V n x. That means that f k of x does not belong to V n x, right, for every k in n, does not belong to V n x at all. And I can say that n union 0, I can always choose this part, that my x is also away from that part, right. So, that means this never turns out to be this factor. Now, what happens to my, I am now looking into V n x. Now, this V n x exists for every x in x, right. So, now what happens here is I am looking into the set f minus k of V n x. So, I choose this V n x, I take f minus k of V n x, and I am looking into this union as n goes from 0 to infinity. My system is topologically transitive. So, I start with any open set, right. There will exist some n for which f n of that open set intersects V n x. So, if I look into this particular set, right, this particular set is an open set which is dense in x, right. So, this is an open set this is an open dense set of x, because my f happens to be topologically transitive. So, that means that if n or maybe some f k of any open set will intersect this part, will intersect V n x. So, this turns out to be an open and dense set in x. And now, I want to look into, I am defining another set A n x to be the complement of this set. So, I am taking this union n going from 0 to infinity f minus k of V n x. I am taking the complement of the set. Now, we know that the complement of the set will be closed and nowhere dense, right. So, this A n x is this complement, and this is a closed and nowhere dense set in x. Now, interestingly, the way we have defined V n x, right, we had defined V n x such that f k of x does not belong to V n x for every k in n union 0. So, basically we want our point x also to be not in V n x. Since x is not there in V n x, right, no point of the orbit of x is in V n x. So, that means my x should belong to the complement of this union, and hence I can say that x belongs to A n x for every x in x, right. So, x belongs to and this is true for every x in x, right. So, what do we say, what do we get here? I can say my x is the union of all x in x, A n x, right, because each x belongs to A n x. Right. So, that means x is the union of closed nowhere dense sets in x, but what is my x? Second category, right. X is second category, so X cannot be written as a union of closed Nowhere dense sets, right. And these are all, and what is this A n x? This A n x turns out to be countable because we started with a countable basis, right. So, each V n x, right, when we start with a V n x, right, these are all countable bases. So, this is also countable. So, this is a countable union. I can say that X is a countable union which is basically a contradiction, right, since my X is second category, right. So, this is a contradiction and what does that mean? We came to a contradiction. Why did we come to a contradiction? Because we assumed that there are no dense orbit, right, F has no dense orbit, and that means that there exists a dense orbit, right, and so my system is point transitive. So, point transitivity. So, now if we look into this corollary, so let me look into a corollary to this one. Let X be a compact, let X be an infinite compact metric space. In fact, we do not need infinite here because for finite case also this would work out. Let X be an infinite compact metric space. Then we know that a compact metric space, right, is second category. Since I am talking of a metric space, I can think of that to be separable, right. So, when I am looking into a infinite compact metric space, right, point transitivity is equivalent to topologically transitive. Point transitivity and topologically transitivity, these are two equivalent concepts here. Now, there is something more that we can think of transitivity, and that is what happens under conjugacy. So, if we try to look into conjugacy, supposing I have two systems, right, I have my system X, F, that is one system, I have another system Y, G, right, I have another system. Supposing now I have a homeomorphism here H, what happens in that case? I can say that if X is transitive, right, if this system is transitive, XF is transitive, then this system YG will also be topologically transitive. I am just looking into the definition, right. So, that means that my transitivity is a dynamical property because it is preserved by conjugacy. So, if my H is a conjugacy, right, then the transitivity of the system XF, right, is equivalent to the transitivity of the system YG. On the other hand, supposing H is not a conjugacy, supposing it is just a factor map, right. So, my YG happens to be just a factor of XF, what happens in that particular case? So, then in that particular case what we have here is that the transitivity of YG will imply, the transitivity of XF will imply the transitivity of YG, but we are not sure because then my XF is happens to be an extension of YG, we are not sure whether the transitivity of YG will imply the transitivity of XF. So, topologically transitivity is basically closed under conjugation and it is also preserved by factors, right. So, if XF is topologically transitive, its factor will also be topologically transitive. So, it is preserved by factors. So, this is closed under conjugacy and it is preserved by factors. then there are some equivalent conditions of transitivity. So, I am stating that as a theorem here. So, let me take X D to be a compact metric space. Without isolated points. Then for my system XF, the following are equivalent, and what are these equivalent properties? So, my first thing is that this system is topologically transitive. This would say that for every non-empty U, open U subset of X, if I take this union n going from 1 to infinity f n U, so this is dense in X. In fact, I can restate this by saying that for every non-empty open U subset of X, I am taking my n going from 0 to infinity f n U, means I am including my U also inside, then this is dense in X, equivalent concept here. My fourth property here goes that for every non-empty open U subset of X, I am taking my n going from 1 to infinity, and here I am taking f minus n U, right. Then this is also dense in X. My fifth property is just a restatement here for every non-empty open U subset of X. I am taking this n going from 0 to infinity f minus n U, this is dense in X. My sixth property says that there exists in X naught in X, right, such that orbit of X naught closure is whole of X, point transitive. My seventh property, which is coming up from this part, says that there exists an X naught in X such that now I am looking into the omega limit set of X naught, that omega limit set is whole of X. My eighth property, which basically comes up from all these facts, right, says that for every non-empty open U and V contained in X, the hitting time sets n u v is infinite. My ninth property again comes from this aspect only. It says that if I have E to be a subset of X is closed and f of E is a subset of E, that means E is invariant, then either E is the whole of X or E is nowhere dense. And the 10th property, which again comes from this fact only, says that if my U is a subset of X, is open and is negatively invariant, I have f inverse U to be contained in U, then either my U is empty or U is dense in X. is an open dense set in X. And my 11th property, which follows from all this, right, is that if I look into the non-wandering sets of F, right, this is basically non-wandering points of X, this is the whole of X, right, the non-wandering set is whole of X. So, I think there is no more space to keep all the 12, 13, 14, 15 properties, but we have these equivalent properties and I am leaving this as an exercise for you. So, today we stop here.